Hello, friends. Hi, the world. Here's the cell again. This Friday, I want to talk about how do we know we're ready for transitioning? By the way, this is the question that I picked up from our amazing conversations we had with all humanitarians. He decided to come to the meeting yesterday where we are doing a monthly networking event of supporting each other around the topic of transitioning, and I have the privilege to host that meeting. So if you haven't joined it, please come and join. If you are a humanitarian or identify yourself or about to be, and you can explore all topics humanitarian transitioning. So one of the questions that came up very often in our conversation yesterday was, how do we know that we are ready to transition? Especially, I think the context that we were talking about was more about from the humanitarian sector to non-humanitarian sector. I assume that some of the things that I'll be telling you will also be relevant if you're doing vice versa, but in general as well. So I think hear me out as to my perspective on things of how we know when we're ready, and also what are the ways that you could coach yourself around to get ready if you wanted to, or of course get coached by me to do that as well. So the question of how do we know we are ready to transition, and first I want to clear out 3 misconceptions that I hear very often that I really wanted to bring all of your attention to it. So one of the misconceptions that I've heard a lot is that we need to have everything aligned, and where there's no fear, no doubt, everything is just perfect, and then we know that we're ready, and then we move on to something else. And the reason why I think that's a misconception is whenever we're making any decision about something that's not known or we haven't done it before, there will always be fear, and that's normal. And also there will be a lot of doubt as well. And we need to hear those feelings and emotions out and find out what they're really telling us. But of course, there will be there, and we can't expect that the presence of fear and doubt means we shouldn't be transitioning, or we should be, whichever way, right? So I think my message here is that don't expect things, all of them falling into all the places and having the perfect life, of being too excited and everything else. And then you know that now you're ready to transition. In fact, whenever that type of situation happens, I think we don't tend to transition anyway. Because that's comfortable, that's nice, that's exactly what we want. Why would we even consider transitioning, right? So it doesn't make sense. I mean, most of the time, unless of course we are intentionally moving from the comfort zone to something else. But anyway, so the first misconception that you could think about, why you believe that you need to have no fear, no doubt when you're making decision about transitioning. There will be fear and doubt, and it's likely they will continue to appear once in a while, or most of the time, or regularly, even after you've made the transition. And at least that's certainly the experience that I had myself and my clients as well. So that's why notice that, and whenever you're having the fear and doubt, you ask yourself, what are they really trying to say? And the second misconception that I wanted to clarify is that we often tend to have this belief that being ready is something outside of us somehow, like somehow we receive it from somewhere, or it's somewhere there. And it's not something that we generate consciously with our own mind, right? So ready, we somehow like we wait for some things to happen for us to think, now we're ready. But what if that was not the case? And in fact, what if you decided when you are ready and when you're not, based on all the things that you've considered before? So that's why all I want to say with this is don't let your brain to come up with excuses for not making a decision because you believe that you're not ready, but rather ask yourself why you're not ready or what needs to happen in order for you to be ready. So don't let your brain to be vague about it, is I guess the other message I want to send, right? So you decide when you're ready and you can decide how you want to be ready. What does that mean for you to be ready and start working on transitioning if that's what you want to. The third misconception that I see or hear a lot as well is that there is a sense of there is the right answer or the right decision, and I need to find that right decision. Quotes. Right is in quotes. For those of you who are not watching me. And I did a separate workshop on this actually in January. If anyone's interested, I can send you the recording of that, where I talked about how to make the right decision. And from all of that, what I really want to give you the message of you are the only person who knows what's right for you, obviously, but even more importantly, you are the one who can make anything right for you as well. And oftentimes when we say that there is the right decision, we might be just constrained in fear, and we're using the right decision in quotes as a reason why we're not moving forward. So instead, you ask yourself, what is that right decision for you? What does that mean to have a right decision? How would a right decision for you look like? And then also think about how could you make any decision the right one for you? And I think that's more empowered place of making any decision right one for you. And then if it's not, you learn your lesson and you make other changes instead of keep searching for something that you're not really sure what that is, but you just think that's must be out there, right? So these are the misconceptions that I thought that would be helpful for you maybe to consider and think, what is it really what I'm wanting? Am I really stalling myself knowingly or not knowingly in order not to move on because I have fear? Or they are really problematic areas that I need to look at it honestly and see and decide what to do with them. So to sum up from those misconceptions and also just to structure a bit the process of knowing when you're ready is I think it all starts in a bit of a like a spectrum. I imagine this is how it is. And the spectrum of, you know, being from A to B, let's just conceptualize it a little. So in the beginning of the A, obviously you will have lots of questions in your head, and I will now in a minute talk about how you could coach yourself on those questions or get coaching on those questions. And the brain is always clever in asking lots of questions, but it's also important that we answer all of those questions, right? So the questions will be like, what if it doesn't work out? What if I'm making the biggest mistake in my life? What if this is not what I really want to do? What if? So there will be a lot of what ifs, and a lot of fear, a lot of doubt. And how do I know it's the right one? How do I know I'm ready? And all of this stuff. So whenever you have all of those questions, we tend to believe that, oh, I don't want to deal with them, or that means I'm not ready, and all of this stuff. And then we just move on to our daily lives. But I suggest that whenever you have all of those questions, answer them one at a time. And I can also, as I said, in the next section of my what I'm going to say, I will help you go through that in your own mind or on journaling and asking yourself and coaching yourself. So that's the beginning stage of the A, where lots of questions come up, and that's normal. And it's important that we answer them. We go until the end. Like, what's the worst scenario that can happen? What's the best scenario that can happen? What is in the middle? And all of this stuff. Right? So we're going through that spectrum of all the questions coming up. And as soon as we keep answering them, you will notice that even if you keep answering them, the fear will continue being there. And even if you keep answering them, your doubt may start bringing other questions and other questions as well. So it's important in that spectrum, I think, that you give yourself time to answer all of those questions, but also give yourself time to make a decision about what's now. Okay, you've answered all of those questions, and now what are you going to do with that? Right? Instead of just keep your mind busy with all of those questions all of the time, believing that readiness will come sometime later, or we often believe that if we postpone our decisions for a long time, brighter, better ideas or better answers come, but not necessarily the case, and we know that as well. So that's why it all depends on how you have processed all of those questions and how you've made your decisions about them, and then stay with that decision for some time, because after making decision, your brain will of course come up with all the other things as well. So go through that spectrum in your own head, and then once you make a decision of this is when I'm ready, this is how ready looks like. And the way that I know, and you could also check with yourself, is the way that I know when I'm ready is when my feelings give me indications that I'm ready. So the feelings that I know when I'm ready is when I have the peace within me, when I have the inner knowing, when I have this calm energy, when I have this piece of I could also stay here and do this work, but I could also move on and do something else. When I have this freedom of choice, basically, these feelings, when they appear, it means I'm ready and I'm ready to make a decision. So you check with yourself as well. What are your feelings that indicate for you that this is when you are really listening in, and you notice that there is this inner knowing that you're ready? That you may as well ask billions of other questions, but they won't really make they won't really change anything, right? It's a bit like, yay, I can keep asking so many other questions, but I'm ready. It's one of those feelings that will come, and it will also come very gently. At least this is for me how it is. My experience is like, I just know that I can do it. I know that I can make this decision. I know that I can be courageous and vulnerable at the time. I know that I can fear at the time, make decisions. I know that I can continue observing my fear, yet respecting and honoring my inner knowing that this is what I want to do. And that's when I make the decision. So as you can see, that just making a decision about being ready takes place at the time when all this turmoil and the storm has passed somehow through your answering of your own questions. And then you've come to a point of, okay, you could be asking tons of other questions. You could be asking everyone else and surveying if you need it, but you know in the end that this is what you want. And then once you have that, then you make the decision to be ready. And you know when you are ready by making the decision of consciously of, I can feel these emotions, I can feel these energies, I can feel my thoughts about it. Yes, I'm ready. And then you just start making other arrangements to be ready financially and any other way, because my goal here is to talk more about on the mindset level of being ready, right? And I think one of the for me at least, one of the strongest drivers of knowing that I was ready is when I had this inner knowing that I can do anything I want in life, and I can make it work. And I know that there will be a lot of failures, a lot of mistakes, a lot of challenges, but I also know that that's the same in my current place. But I am ready to look into them, to face them, to look at them, and to make things work. I'm ready to face those challenges and emotional turmoils that will come up. I'm ready because this is what I want. So I guess it's a bit like when I hear from pregnant women who tell, I know that it will be hard to be experiencing labor time and giving birth to a child that we all have heard or we've experienced, some of them experience about it. We know that, but I know I'm going to do that anyway, right? It's worth it anyway. So it's a bit like that, I think, is that the feeling of being ready is, yes, I know that there will be those things, but I'm ready and I want to do it anyway because it's worth it. So that's I think the feeling. So my orientation has always been to know and use the indicators of feeling when I'm ready, when I have the calm energy, when I have the peace within to say, yes, I'm ready. Now, the way that you could coach yourself around all of this turmoils and everything else come up is in the following way, and it's actually very intuitive as well. So as I said, that you could, in those turmoil moments, in those moments of, having a lot of questions of what if this and what if that and all of this stuff, right? So you could always answer yourself until the end. And one of the ways that I wanted to suggest, let me open my notes, is, for instance, you could ask yourself, why are you not already ready for transitioning? Especially if you have been thinking about it and toying in your mind for some time. And this could be a great way to start the conversation with yourself and say, why are you not ready already for transitioning? Not from the reproaching perspective, note. So not from the perspective of, why are you not ready already? I'm pissed or whatever it is, but rather gently and respectfully and lovingly asking yourself. And then you will see that there will be lots of reasons. Your brain will be coming up with telling you, this is the reason why, this is the reason why. Da, da, da. So for instance, some of the reasons could be, I don't have enough money to sustain myself, right? And that's why I'm not ready. Okay, if that's the case, then ask yourself, how much money would you need to feel like it's enough for you to move on to transitioning? Whatever the number is, you just check with yourself, being very concrete about it. Like, for 1 year, I need this much because this is what I might have been my expenses, or what I think my expenses will be for my family, da, 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 da. And just, defining what that enough is could really help you, in other words. And then once you make the definition and deciding this much money I need, and therefore this way I will get the money and I will save this money and all of this stuff, then your brain is likely to ask other questions like, I don't know if it will work out, right? And ask yourself, what does working out mean for you? You could say, your brain could say, well, I want to be successful, or I want this to be successful. Or you can again ask, what does that success look like? Or what is not working out look like for you? What are you afraid of may happen? So ask yourself those questions and then answer yourself as well, that in case this will happen, I will make sure to do this, or in case that happens, I will do this. So whatever it is, always return back to your own strategies of how you will strategize to overcome that. And also, whenever you say that, oh, I have fear and I have doubts, you can again ask yourself, what do you think they're trying to tell you? Are they trying to tell you not to move and not to transition? Or are they trying to tell you that it's unknown and it's new and what are we going to do? So it's either, it could be maybe other messages that your emotions and feelings are telling you, but check what are they specifically, right? And as I said, you can also ask questions like, when do you know that you're ready? What are the indicators of you being ready? Do you rely on your analytical skills of analyzing everything, or do you rely on your feelings, or you're expecting from some other sources the sign for being ready? So what does that mean for you to be ready? And as I said, give yourself time to get yourself ready, whatever that means for you. And then take also time to make a decision about being ready, and then start preparing how to move on and what to do next and all of this stuff. So, my dears, I hope this was helpful for anyone considering to know how to be ready, or how do you know when you're ready to transition. If you want to get coaching on these or on any specific topics you have around transitioning or in general about life, I will be, of course, delighted and happy to coach you, to invite you to my consult. So you let me know. In the meantime, I wish you a great weekend. Excuse me. And I will be seeing you next Friday. Oh, before I forget, I just want to say thank you to all of you for supporting me in these difficult days of grieving the loss of this dear person that I talked about on Facebook. So I'm grateful of your support, and I hope that I will get the visa to visit him. The funeral is next Wednesday, so I'm very, very hopeful, and also, of course, I'm hoping with your great support, I may be able to get the visa. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend,